Hey guys, what's up? It's Brittany Belo, and you are watching my series, Fiercely Focused. This is a series for women who are in business, have a career, or are trying to find their way, and they're just ready to grow and level up and do things differently. So tonight, I have a really special treat for you. My friend Emma Burgess is going to be joining us, and we have a very sweet topic for you. So I am going to go ahead and add her so she can pop on and we're going to get started. So Emma and I connected recently through a Kindred Women group, and we have discovered that we have quite a few things in common. And I decided I really wanted for her to join me in this live, and let's see if I can get this to work. Yes. Amazing. Hey, Emma. So as she gets started joining, I am going to say hey to you guys. So I see Ashley, Kathleen, Katie.
Hello, how are we going?
All right, so I'm going to check this out on the Facebook, on my laptop so I can make sure that it's working. How are you tonight or today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey guys, you all?
So for those who are just joining, this is a very special treat. I'm so happy Emma's here. Emma is actually joining me from New Zealand. So it's afternoon time there and we're in our evening. So thank you, Emma, so much for being available and being willing to do this. And I guess for us to just get started here, I want to introduce you to the group. We have quite a few people watching, and if you are watching, feel free to share this and invite some of your other friends to join in, because I promise the things we talk about are going to be kick-ass and you don't want to miss it. And if you're watching, be sure to comment and let us know that you watched the replay and let us know what you think. So, Emma, tell me a little bit about what you do and share with our audience who you are and why you decided to become a coach.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So nice to see you guys. I work with women all over the world, and my main focus is really on helping women love themselves and helping women really step into who they really are, as well as I do a lot of relationship stuff too. So a lot of helping women with their relationship with themselves as well as with other people. And I guess I've wanted to be a coach for years and years and years. I feel like throughout my life, I had so many people, and including myself, who were like, we constantly let ourselves, let other people hold us back, or we constantly felt like we couldn't be who we really were. We weren't really meeting our full potential. If I look back even on my own life just a few years ago, I hated myself. I never felt like I was good enough, right? I never gave myself that full permission to be who I truly was. And I guess it made me so unhappy and so unfulfilled and so unsatisfied as I was living life on everyone else's terms, really. And throughout the years, as I went through that huge transformation of myself, as I started to love myself, and how greatly that influenced my whole life, from my health, my body, my friendships, right, my love life, how much it changed everything. My money, it really kind of pointed out to me the importance of loving yourself. Because I remember even a few years ago when I was, so heartbroken and I hated myself, and I thought to myself, if only I loved myself, if only I believed in myself, then everything would be okay. And it's just completely and utterly changed my life, I guess, stepping fully into this and helping people do this too.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that, because you hit on some really good points. There are so many women who are living on other people's terms and not truly doing what they want. And something that I have seen a lot of, especially, working in a corporate job and also doing my own side business, there are a lot of women who don't really give themselves permission to do what they really want to do, because someone has told them, this is your path, like this is your job, and this is the path that you're supposed to take. And then they do it because it's safe and because someone's instructing them, but they're not taking time to step back and say, do I even like this? Is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, even how we have this need to find that approval, right? And if we're not getting that inside, from a young age, we're taught that when we do things that other people want us to, we get love and we get approval and we get praise. And so we can get so hooked on that. If we're not coming back and approving and listening to ourselves, we'll just be constantly on that roller coaster of approval, doing what everyone else wants us to do, right, without really tuning in and giving ourselves that full permission.
Yeah, that's very true. So I know you probably alluded to this a little bit, but why do you think women need to have a coach? And what do you think is the biggest problem that women are facing today that makes them need a coach?
Okay, that's a really good question, because a lot of people are like, well, I can come up with my own decisions. I can do what I want. I don't really need a coach. But I think it's important to recognize that our default is to do what other people want us to do. We're taught from a young age that we're meant to follow what other people want us to do. And we live in a world where a lot of people aren't living the life they really want to live. A lot of people are quite unhappy, and therefore we can often feel a lot of resistance after really going after what we want to do, really doing what we want to do, because we can often get really criticized, right, by other people. But also, I think, you can always say, I want to be my best self and I'm going to chase my dreams. But if you've got nobody fully and utterly supporting you, or you've got a bunch of people who are looking at your dreams with their own experience and their own limiting beliefs too, it can be really, really hard to do what you want to do. Even if you ask yourself, do I normally do what I want to do, or do I do what other people want me to do? We're far more inclined to go out of our way to do what other people want us to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're far more inclined to do that than really, really listening to ourselves and doing what really is going to work for us. Yeah. And so really, it's about when you're working with a coach, that coach holds you accountable to who you really are. That coach holds you accountable to your best self.
Mm-hmm.
When you're letting yourself down, when you're going against those things that really matter to you, when you're putting other people first,
Right.
they're the person there who's like, don't you remember what you want? Don't you remember who you truly are? And, we have these limiting beliefs, we have these worries and these concerns that do come up. So they take us away from that and they bring us back to the truth, that voice in our head isn't true. Yeah.
That's great.
What was the second part of your question? You asked me about why people need a coach, and you asked me something else, sorry.
Yeah. So what is the number one problem that you think people have, which creates the need for a coach?
Yeah. I think, the habit of listening to other people and putting other people first, or even just how easy it is to doubt ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to go against what we truly want when we live in a world of people who tell us that we can't have what we want, that tell us that shouldn't you be grateful for what you have already, shouldn't you be satisfied being where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's great. So one thing that I picked up on, you said if you have somebody to keep you accountable to who you are, that's basically why we need coaches. So I was going to ask the question, why is it that as humans, we break promises and break appointments with ourselves, but we don't do that when we know somebody else is involved? So I think about when I have a gym appointment. So if I'm supposed to go to the gym at a certain time, but I'm just going alone, it's easier for me to say, no, I'll just do it later. But if I know somebody's waiting for me, I'll show up. So is it kind of in that way with having a coach and sharing? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, I feel that when we were children, our parents would praise us and give us love when we do what they say. You know what I mean? And we're kind of taught that it's important to follow what other people do. And when we do what other people want from us, they always compliment us. They give us, you know, they tell us we're doing really well, and we get really hooked on that approval. We get so hooked on that approval. And but the thing is, so many of us every single day, we live in our shoulds. Okay, we say, I should do this, I should do this, I should go to the gym, I shouldn't have eaten that. We're so used to letting ourselves down. So saying I should live my best life, well, when we constantly every day let ourselves down in 10 other ways, what's different this time? Why are we really going to do this? Okay. But when we fully commit to working with someone, when we say, I'm fully in no matter what, I'm going to put my time into this, I'm going to invest my money into this, very rarely, when we've actually said yeah and we've actually committed to someone else, especially with our resources, our money and our time, do we go back on that, you know? And like, I even know for myself, all the times I've invested in coaches and I've invested in courses, I felt like, oh gosh, oh no, this is, you know, you have that bit of fear. But I also know as soon as I put money behind something, I've always done it. I've always gone through. I remember at the start of the year when I was thinking about investing in a coach, and I invested $10,000 that morning, and I cried afterwards. I went to my partner. I was like, oh my goodness, right? And I was like, what am I doing? But I knew if I hadn't have done that, if I hadn't said I'm fully all in, I wouldn't have this thriving, successful coaching business today, right? I wouldn't be full-time doing this. It was because I needed to back myself, and I needed to get someone else on my team to help me do that.
That's great. And that's a great point. That now, I guess in some ways it depends on how much, because if I put $10,000 on something, I am damn sure going to finish it. But I've actually had some of my clients tell me that they've programs in the past, maybe $500 or $1,000, and they didn't finish it. So part of it's, I guess, for yourself, what is that personal point of extreme uncomfortableness where you're really not okay? Like you said, you cried. So maybe what we need more of those moments that scare the shit out of us to actually do something. And that's amazing. I'm so glad that you shared that. And the next thing that I really wanted to dive into is, what is coaching really? You know, what would a typical coaching session look like? What kind of things look differently than just you giving me advice? What could I expect from you?
Well, I think coaching is about working with someone in order to enable you to be your best self. Okay. And so I think it's, you know, it's very different. It's not, for example, it's not always hugs and kisses. It's not always rainbows and you're doing really well. But when you're working with someone, you're working with them for your highest self, for your highest good. Okay. And so I call my clients out on their crap. If they're letting themselves down, if they're not, you know, my commitment is always to who they really are. Okay. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit like I get a bit of, oh yeah, you're right, Emma. You know, it's not, and I think it's really clear to, you know, when you're working with a coach too, you're not working with what the coach wants to do. You're not working with who the coach wants to be. The coach isn't like, I've done this in this way, and now you need to too. The coach is really enabling you to step into your highest power. And I think, you know, coaching isn't always a walk in the park, okay? And this is one of the reasons why coaching is so powerful. The coach has a commitment to your higher self. The coach isn't committed to your bullshit. The coach isn't committed to your excuses. The coach is committed to you having what you want. And you know, and I think that's one of the main differences. We often, you know, we think, oh, a coach is someone to sit there on the sidelines and clap their hands at me. And, you know, of course, like a coach is going to encourage you and a coach is going to really help you out. But a coach is committed to what you want to do with them. A coach is committed to you being your true self. A coach isn't going to let you just, I guess, disappoint yourself and fall short on your goals. I think that's one of the main things. And that's why coaching is so freaking powerful. You know, You know, a coach isn't someone who we go to and say, oh, I failed and I messed up. And they say, okay, so you're just always going to be a failure and you're always going to mess up. You know, they're not going to be with us at our pity party. They're going to help us get ourselves, our head into what we truly want and back to what we're really focused on. Yeah, exactly, Derek. Yeah, committed to your higher self, 100%.
I absolutely love that. I have a quote that I had seen recently. I'm going to have to repost it now, but it's all about what you said. You can't be committed. This is the quote. You cannot be committed to your growth and committed to your bullshit. Pick one.
Yeah.
So I love that because it's so true.
Exactly.
And your coach won't allow you to do that. I mean, as a coach, we don't have the time to spend on people who are still out. So one thing I would say is you have to be ready for coaching. Like, coaching isn't for everyone. Have you come across people who you've kind of realized maybe this isn't right for you now and maybe later? Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, I've definitely had people who are like curious about hearing about working with me, and we talked about it. But I feel like, you know, my clients and I are always on the same page. I'm always very clear about how my coaching works and that you need to be all in, otherwise it's just not going to work. Because all my clients always get incredible results. My clients completely and utterly change their lives. And if they're not fully committed to doing that, we just shouldn't be working together. And I feel that that's just, my clients all know that about me from the get-go. And of course, like, working with me is an investment. So normally, you know, the people who are like, yeah, I'm going to work with you, they're all in.
Yeah. Okay.
But definitely, I definitely feel there are a lot of people who like the idea of coaching, but they're not fully there yet. You know, they're quite tied to their story and they're just not ready to really take that leap and do that, you know. But I think it's also important to recognize and appreciate that as coaches, we only work with people who are ready, and it's okay if someone's not ready, you know. Like, I'm very, very straight up as that I'd rather not work with someone than work with someone who's ready. My goal, I don't grab a client and try to pull them along to try and get them somewhere where they're not ready to go. Of course, I'll kick their ass and help them get there, but it's got to come from their own motivation first, right? Because I show up 100% every single time, and, you know, that person's got to be ready to do that too.
Right. And I think that's why I made that jump from fitness coaching to career coaching, because I found myself getting so frustrated with asking the question, well, how did your diet go today? What did you eat? And then I would just hear the excuses and over, like, you're not getting the results that you want because you weren't ready yet. You're not really committed. And I'm not going to keep taking money from you if you're not ready. And so I think switching to career coaching and business coaching, that was a big driver, because I noticed a lot of people just weren't ready. But I have found with career and business, it's different, and people seem to be more ready. And a lot of it is, okay, how can I really give myself permission to be myself and own who I am and not care what other people think, or not care if I'm going down a different path that I chose instead of the one that my parents chose or chose. What are some of the experiences you've seen with women in terms of really connecting with themselves and giving themselves permission to just do what they want and live their life on their terms?
Wow, I think so many. Like, if I just think about my clients, they've transformed so much, because, you know, a lot of the work I do starts with self-love and starts with giving themselves that full permission and getting connected to what they really want. And this looks so many different ways: leaving partners and traveling around the world, starting their own businesses, definitely leaving abusive partners, or even going after the love they truly want, being open and allowing that love they truly want to come in. You know, career promotions, like, you know, it always starts with you giving yourself full permission. Anything you want to achieve, you've got to be like, okay, I can do this. Because if you don't feel you can do it, if you don't have that self-belief, if you constantly say no to yourself, you're never going to get what you want. You know, it's got to come down to you being like, okay, I've had enough and I deserve more than this. Even if you don't feel worthy enough of it, even if you don't feel like you've done enough to do it, committing and saying, I'm all in, because I know that I'm going to regret in 10 years if I look back on my life and I don't put my best foot forward, I'm going to regret it. But it's got to start with you. But when you give yourself full permission, like, it's so crazy. It's like, I notice so often people say, oh, I'm going to work with you. And that one shift of saying, I'm all in, like I had one of my clients message me just yesterday saying she's lost like 7 pounds in the past week, right? Just because she said, I'm in. Like, just because she's finally said, I'm giving myself permission to love myself. Another one of my clients, like, it's not all about weight, but was saying she's lost, in 3 months of us working together, she lost 50 pounds just by doing the self-love work, because she finally gave herself full permission to be who she was and to love herself.
Wow.
Right? And just even just doing that, when you finally decide you're worthy, when you decide you're enough as you are, everything changes.
Yeah.
It's all energy, and everything, your whole environment looks completely different. People treat you differently, because we always tell people how to treat us just by our energy.
That is so,
You know?
that is so true. And you made a good point. It's not all about weight, but it's a point because it shows up differently for people. And as women, especially, you know, my personal experience with my own self-doubt and lack of self-confidence in the past, I did have a lot of issues with my own image and my own worth. And when I really got over that, it gave me the chance to, it was all this dead weight of shit in my head. So yeah, once you let go of that, it's crazy. You might not be trying to lose weight, but you will, because you're holding on to so much baggage of crap. And it's give yourself permission to move forward and do these things. And not only are you going to see success in your life or your relationships or in your career or your business, but your personal self, like that self-love is where it starts. And I don't think many people realize the power of that until you share things like this. So I really appreciate you doing that.
But it's just so true. Like, anything in your life that's showing up is because you've decided that you're allowed it. Anything in romance and friendships and money and business, anything that's coming up for you is because you've given yourself permission to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But that also means you can give yourself permission to have more. You can decide you want a better relationship. You can decide you want better friends. You can decide you want to earn more money. Everything is the decision. It's got to start with just giving yourself permission.
What are some reasons that you think, and this might take a moment to think, but why do we have so many self-limiting beliefs? Why, what are some of the reasons why? I mean, yeah, we grew up a certain way or we heard certain things, but I honestly feel like, oh, look, Charlotte's coming. That's my cat.
Cute.
Like a lot of, I think personally, social media and comparing and seeing what other people are doing and all of that is starting to really make this even more difficult. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I definitely think social media is. Um, I think, often we spend so much time on social media and we see other people's highlight reels, and then we say, oh, everything's wrong with me, without realizing that, social media is just people posting their best selves. And yeah, that's been a huge reason why a lot of women think, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough these days. But I also think that so often we tell ourselves these stories in our heads. We take one situation that was neutral, and especially when it comes to men, something that's really common is, a guy doesn't text us back, and suddenly we go into this huge story of, I'm not good enough, and I'm not lovable, and I'm not worthy. And if we're not aware and we're not seeing these stories for what they truly are, we start to believe these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I also feel around friends, I often, especially with females, a lot of females like to compete with one another, or you compare yourself to your friends. You're comparing all down social media, you're comparing with your friends. And whenever you're comparing yourself to anyone, you're always going to find somewhere you don't feel good enough. There's always going to be something you're going to say, that person does that bit better than me. Because we live in a world where there's only one person who can be at the top. But what we constantly do is we look at these people and we say, oh, she's earning more and he's earning more, and so I need to be different. You know, we spend more time focused on other people's lives than really truly appreciating ourselves, you know? It's kind of like that old survival brain that's always looking for danger, always looking for those things that are wrong. And anything your brain goes looking for, it's going to find, right? How about if we woke up every day and we said, okay, today I'm going to write 20 things I love about myself. First thing, I'm going to look for things in my life that are going to go right today. You know, just starting to shift that perspective rather than constantly looking for ways that we aren't good enough.
Right. I love that. I think having, and that alludes to some practices that anybody can implement in their routine every day. Waking up instead of just rushing. First of all, don't snooze. Wake up, stop snoozing, get up and spend 10 minutes just writing out what you want to get done for the day, or writing out something that you're really appreciative for. And those types of good, soulful, positive habits every day, like they might seem kind of simple and tedious in some ways, but they're very powerful. I've begun doing a lot more of my workouts in the morning. I've begun doing a lot more Bible studies at night. And even just those simple changes, it's made me such a happier person. And it's something I show up, I'm happier at work. I'm happier in my interactions with people. I feel like I'm more myself, but I don't know what, for some reason I felt for a while I wasn't supposed to do those things, or I'm not good enough. And I literally told somebody the other day that I used to believe that there's only so much I'm available to do or able to do because of how I grew up, or because of where I live, or because of the friends that I have. Like, I'm never going to be good enough to make six figures, or I'm never going to be smart enough to run a business. And why do I say these things? Thankfully, I'm not doing that anymore, but so many people are still doing that. And I think it's so important to just, these baby habits that you can start, like, really get you out of that place. So I appreciate sharing. So Emma, I know we have a little bit of time. We're ready to wrap, but I wanted to just ask you for one more thing. If you could give any piece of advice to a woman who's currently in that place where she's not really committed to herself, and maybe she's holding on to a bad relationship or a bad friendship, or in a job that she hates and she's not ready to take the leap, what sort of advice would you give to her?
I would say you've got to come back to loving yourself and investing in your best self and being committed to that person, because, you know, you're always going to have people around you who will encourage you to stay where you are, and will say, oh, it's okay if you never do what you want to do, right? But it's up to you to change that. It's up to you to come back and be like, hold up, who do I want to become? Who in my life is pushing for me to become that best person, right? Because if you want to have an outstanding life, you're going to have to change the standard. You're going to have to work with someone or have people around you who are constantly helping you grow and helping you commit to that higher self, right? Because it's hard to do it alone. It's really, really hard to do it alone. You know, it's like even me, like, I've got an amazing supportive partner, but if I'm like, oh, this isn't working and it's going really badly, he'll be like, I still love you. When really, you know, if I work with my coaches, they're like, oh, cool, let's make this work. You know, they're constantly committed to pushing you, constantly committed to your higher self. So investing in yourself is, I can't even describe how much my life has changed when I invested in my higher self. When I fully said, okay, I am totally into being all that I'm meant to be, and I'm going to do the work to love myself, to really own who I am, to accept who I am, to change myself, to change my self-talk. Because all these things, they change everything. They may sound small and they may be like, why does it matter what I say to myself? But every word we say to ourselves influence our decisions. If you wake up saying, I can't do this, you're never going to have the business you want.
Yeah.
If you wake up saying, I don't deserve this, you're never going to have the relationship you want. But you can choose, you can change it. It's just up to you to say, hell yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome. Emma, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of this. I truly appreciate it. And I've just, in the short time we've known each other, you've grown me a lot. You've helped me to grow and even appreciate more of who I am. And so I really honor you for that. And I'm so grateful that we met. And if you can, as we wrap, just share how people can find you. And I'll also place this in the description, but do you have anything, resources or a blog or a site that you'd like to just point people to?
Yeah, definitely. The best way to find me is through my business page on Facebook, or I also do have a community of women who which I'm doing trainings in there all the time. But I would also like to, offer those people who are watching this, if you'd like to connect with me and to hear more about what I do, and I can give you a few different tips, maybe where you're holding yourself back with your self-love or your next step or your relationship. I'll also post a link in here where you'll be able to actually book a time to have a bit of a talk to me too. So yeah, I've got my Facebook page, my group, and also I'll post a link below where we can schedule a time to have a bit of a talk and to see what your next steps are. And I just want to say thank you so much for making the time and inviting me to talk to you. It's been so much fun to connect with you today, and I love that we've had so many people engaging with us and watching this, and I'm so glad that, Casey, I just saw your comment. I'm really glad that you got something out of this. And thanks, honey. So nice to see you guys watching with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. And Emma, thank you again for all of your time and great information. There's so many nice tweetable moments and quotes from this that I'm going to be going back and definitely crediting you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks.